Here we go, season number 3, episode 1-5. That's 15 for you of the Shawn Mackey Show. It's been a minute, and it's getting ready to be another minute. After this episode, we're taking a little brief hiatus. We're hoping to bring you a whole new experience. Gonna do some things differently, starting to see a little growth and some potential. So we want to give you the best experience we can give you. Now, on my Facebook page, The Shawn Mackey Show, my last post was a preview of this episode. And I would love to bring, I wish I could have, everything in the TV world, the radio world, everything. There's copyright laws, and you got to pay money to use clips. But I would have loved to have, I cannot remember. My mind is, this episode's going to be crazy, folks. I'm telling you, stay freaking tuned. But anyway, I don't know if it was the electric company or maybe Sesame Street where they used to do this. Today's episode brought to you by the letter, and then they'd have a letter, and then they'd do all this shit there. So my post was like, today's episode brought to you by the letter C. C is for Craig Counsell. Anyway, hit up that page, give it a like, share it. It doesn't cost you anything, right? And I'm going to talk about that page in a little bit before we end this episode. I'm not a fan of Craig Counsell. One of my dearest friends, two of my dearest friends, guys that I have known since I was 12 or 13 years old, been through a lot with these cats. I asked his opinion, and we had a good conversation, his opinion on Craig Counsell. And the first thing he said, because of the show, he's like, I know you don't like him, and I don't. But I'm one of these guys that kind of looks at everything as a whole and kind of compares shit out there and knows what's supposed to happen. We're going to elaborate on that post from the Shawn Mackey Show and on the Facebook there. Yeah, go over to the Facebook, Face Space or My Book or whatever it was called. You kids with your fancy social medias. But anyway, I'm not going to beat a dead horse because we do have some Bears news to get to. I'm not going to tell you that Craig Counsell's first year as the Chicago Cubs manager, he did exactly what David Ross did in his final season. And I really wanted David Ross to be fired at that point because there was just too much in my brain going on with how it's the same. Right now, to me, it's the same. The kind of David Ross, the Craig Counsell deal. And, I look at Joe Madden and that Cub team before they got to the World Series. They just won so much. You didn't really see the patterns or the issues with the manager, kind of like where, oh, God damn, one decision the other way, like just the opposite of the decisions, one of them that you made all day for this particular loss or this series or this stretch of losses. There was some core guys that were on both teams, So Dansby Swanson, Nico Horner, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, Mike Tauchman, Kyle Hendricks. Those kind of were like the core lineup guys that were on both teams. Ross's last year, Counsell's first year. And if Craig Counsell's supposed to be this great-ass manager, and those are just the core guys, I'm pretty sure that there were other guys here, okay? So you look at them, we know that David Ross's last year, they were 83 and 79, and that was the exact same thing Craig Counsell did in his first year. Ross, second in the NL Central, same thing for Craig Counsell, okay? Ross's Cubs in 2023 scored more runs than Counsell's Cubs in 2024. And vice versa. The Cubs gave up more runs in 2023 than Craig Counsell's team in 2024. Michael Bush was in 2023, and he was there in 2024, obviously, because he's still there. But you had Cody Bellinger. You had the Christopher Morel, like the big explosion. He had 26 home runs in 2023, but in midseason in the following year, so Craig Counsell had him for 1 year, half a year. He was traded. They had Pete Crow. Jamer Candelario came back during that season, but he was gone by 2024. Shota, Justin Steele, IL. 2023, Marcus Stroman, Jameson Tyone, Javier Assad. Just very similar teams. And if Craig Counsell's such a great manager, why did he have almost the exact same statistics and record that David Ross has? Or had, I should say, had. Okay? So we know in 2025 what Craig Counsell did. 2026 is still in progress. So I'm not going to talk to you about like the last 3 games with the Cubs. First of all, kudos to Josh Baez. First 3 major league at-bats, and the cat hits 3 home runs. But that's part of why I don't like Craig Counsell. He's a data-driven manager. Okay. So one of the glaring things we've been hearing data on for many, many years surrounding Major League Baseball broadcasts and games, the whole kit and caboodle, right, is the statistics regarding when the starting pitcher, or any pitcher for that matter, you might open for the first guy and then the other guy comes in, so it's just put off an inning or two. But the statistics regarding facing the lineup for the third time. So why does Craig Counsell allow Matt Boyd to face Joshua Baez for the third time? So it was a close game. It was a close game when Craig Counsell allowed Matthew Boyd to face Josh Baez for the third time. And then it just got put out of reach at that point. I mean, I saw that in Gosman's last start. You know, both pitchers were cruising along. I think the first hit was allowed in the 4th inning. And then Dylan Cruz doubles, and it's 1-0. But Craig Counsell just let Gosman continue to go when he got in trouble. Like, there's a time, I get it, you might want to try to get your guy the victory, but this is freaking the middle of August. This is the time you got to make those decisions and get the starter out of there before it gets too dangerous. And especially on a day, you know, the data's great, but look at everything around you. Look at what you see. Talk to a guy, how he feels, what your gut tells you. You know, sometimes that's the best part of playing the game. And it's a mental game. I'm telling you that. I'm not going to talk to you about how Craig Counsell, like Moises Ballesteros, was hitting like 415 when he was hitting 5th or lower in the lineup, and Counsell moves him up to 2nd, and he just falls so far out of the good graces, they drop him down to the minors and then trade him. You know, so just look at that, right? Jed Hoyer goes out and has the most aggressive trade deadline that he's ever had, and that kind of sparks a mental aspect in all the players, and they're doing well. Yes, they're 20 games over 500, but they're not beating the teams they need to beat. We're coming down to the stretch. You're playing the White Sox, who are playing pretty good baseball. You just lost 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals. All right. if you don't take the series against the White Sox, you got the Mariners in between there. You've got the Diamondbacks. That's a tough one because they're close in the standings for the wild card. Then you've got the Reds, but then you get the Brewers. You get the Brewers to freaking start September. So, I'm not going to even tell you about the comparison between Pat Murphy and Craig Counsell since they parted ways. The best thing Craig Counsell ever did for himself, which is why he's got the record he has, and everybody thinks he's a great manager, is because he hired Pat Murphy, his old college manager at Notre Dame. And it's hands down. It's Pat Murphy. Maybe I got a Pat Murphy obsession or something. I don't know. But that's one of the other things. Like I'm gonna plead to you. Like I think I want to explore. I want to explore things that have to do psychologically because I talk a lot about the mental aspect of sports. But you look at their comparison. 2024 is the year that both of them split and started on their own. Okay, Milwaukee Brewers 93 and 69, Chicago Cubs 83 and 79. 2025, 97 and 65, a franchise record for the Brewers. 2025, 92 and 70 for the Cubs. We know what happened. They made the playoffs. Who'd they lose to? They lost to the Brewers. So, total record, Pat Murphy's got a .595 winning percentage to Craig Counsell's .553. All right. Murphy, 2 division titles, 1 post-series win. Who did he beat? He beat the Cubs. He's 3-2. Head-to-head, who'd he beat? Craig Counsell and the Cubs. Counsell's 2-3. Flip-flop it, right? 2 National League Manager of the Year awards for Pat Murphy. Zip, nothing for Craig Counsell. The whole reason I don't like the guy is because I see the moves he made. I can go back and talk forever about individual games. I told my buddy, I said, look, what happens if you lose the division by 1 game? What happens if you lose the division by 1 game, but at the same time, you're not top 3 in the wild card? I mean, I'm not going to do the math for you. It statistically maybe couldn't happen, but it really could. That's all I'm saying about the whole Craig Counsell deal. And that's why I don't like him. He may go on to take the Cubs to the World Series. He may end up solidifying his greatest manager in all time of baseball. But I'm not ready to put him up there with Tony La Russa, Bobby Cox, Joe Torre, all the old, and those are old school guys. But Major League Baseball has like a manager carousel working in most places. Everyone's quick to say, Craig Counsell's great. All the pitching injuries the Cubs have, look at where he's got the team. Okay, I get it. But is that because of Craig Counsell? Or is that because there's the talent pool that's put together now this year that's a little bit different than in his first 2 seasons with the Cubs? Dansby Swanson may be out for the rest of the season. So we're getting ready to focus our and I was going to talk to you, we're going to shift over to football, but I want you to go to Facebook. I want you to go to the Shawn Mackey Show, my page. You'll see my mug up there, unedited, opinionated, whatever I say. I can't remember. I got so much shit going on in my brain. It's freaking crazy. But that's going to be a safe space. I don't comment a lot on other pages and posts because it seems like every time I do, and I don't say stupid shit. I don't attack anybody. I just kind of like put my opinion. And people, the keyboard warriors sitting in their mom's basements, wherever they're at, just seem to come out. And I just don't have the time. I don't have the bullshit for it. So I'm going to keep the Shawn Mackey Show, my page, a safe space. I'm going to moderate that because as I've matured and aged in my life, I feel like you can have mature conversations with people who don't necessarily agree with you. And that's how you get to the bottom of things. But you don't have to be an ass bag, because I'm not just talking little comments that might make a little kid go running off and crying. It's type shit where if you're having a conversation with someone face to face, you wouldn't say or wouldn't have said what you said, because it could lead to getting punched in the mouth. Because yes, we all have the right to freedom of speech, but there are consequences. And sometimes those consequences may lead to somebody being arrested, but so be it. Hopefully both parties learn a lesson. See where my brain goes? All right. So Bears' first preseason game against the Cleveland Browns. I tuned in late. I was out to lunch with a buddy. And by the time I got home, I was like, 10-0 already. Son of a bitch, what's going on here? You know, and then 10-7. And then, next thing you know, it's 34-10 Bears. A lot of dudes on that field made a case for themselves to make the roster. That's the good news. The bad news is a lot of freaking injuries that the Bears have had. Holy shit, Batman. It's not. And left tackle, holy crap. Braxton Jones got hurt. He came back like Sunday after the game. Braxton Jones got hurt. He came back Sunday after that game. So I think Jedrick Wills Jr. and Kieran Amagaji shared the time throughout the game. And big sack given up by Wills. Amagaji kind of hanging on. Looks like if Braxton Jones gets healthy, it's probably his job until Trapeel comes back. Maybe Benedette shoots up. I don't know. We'll have to see. So I'm not going to get in depth. I'm kind of cutting the show. It's going to be it, because I'm also telling you that I'm going to take a little hiatus because I got some new studio digs coming up, and I want to kind of try to get that done just before regular season kickoff. I'm not going to spend time on the show boring you about all the preseason bullshit, because you're seeing it out there. All it does is get me to make speculations that I just don't necessarily want to make until I've had time to look into it all. But this whole Craig Counsell thing's been on my brain for a couple of weeks now. So I just wanted to get it out there. Like I said, I may be wrong, and he may solidify his position as one of the greatest managers in Major League Baseball. More power to him, and if that leads the Cubs to a couple more World Series, I'm all for it. I'm going to continue to be a fan, but with the new studio digs, the new show format, kind of spice it up for you. I really think I'm going to talk about football. It's going to be all football all the time. That's all the time I got for you guys this week. Peace. I'll see you when I see you.